Have you been eating vegetables you thought were heart healthy, but they're actually hurting you? Many heart surgeons have seen firsthand the damage certain foods can do, especially when it comes to vegetables. And that's exactly why this message is so important. Because while vegetables are essential for health, not all vegetables support a healthy heart, especially as we get older. In this video, we're diving into 7 specific vegetables that many heart surgeons strongly urge seniors to limit or avoid. That's because, when eaten regularly, these vegetables may quietly contribute to high blood pressure, clogged arteries, inflammation, and even irregular heartbeat. And these aren't rare or exotic items. In fact, chances are, several of them are sitting in your fridge or pantry right now. Once you hear which ones they are, you may want to make a few simple changes right away. This isn't about scare tactics or hype. These insights are based on real medical science. More and more research is showing how even so-called healthy foods can impact seniors differently, especially when you consider slower digestion, potential interactions with medications, or existing heart conditions. As we age, the heart becomes more sensitive to certain dietary triggers, and the foods we choose start to matter more than ever. So stay tuned until the end, because you're about to learn which 7 vegetables may actually be doing more harm than good. You might be surprised how a few small changes could add years to your life. Now, let's get started. Number 1, canned tomatoes can spike your blood pressure. Canned tomatoes might seem like a convenient way to add flavor and nutrition to your meals, but for many older adults, they carry a hidden danger. What looks like a healthy option on the surface, rich in vitamins, fiber, and antioxidants, can actually contribute to one of the most common and dangerous conditions affecting the heart: high blood pressure. And the reason isn't the tomato itself. It's what's added to the can and what the can is made of that turns this kitchen staple into a potential health risk. Most canned tomatoes are preserved in a solution loaded with sodium, in fact, just a half cup. Serving can contain more sodium than you might expect from an entire meal. And while a younger person's kidneys and blood vessels may be able to handle that, extra salt seniors are far more vulnerable. As we age, our arteries naturally become stiffer. Our kidneys don't filter as efficiently. That means every extra bit of sodium we take in stays in the system longer, pulling in more water, expanding blood volume, and putting added strain on the heart. Over time, this silent pressure builds, often without any symptoms, until it reaches a tipping point in the form of a heart attack or stroke. But it doesn't stop there. There's another hidden concern in canned tomatoes that's just as serious, something called BPA, or bisphenol A. Many canned foods are lined with BPA-containing plastics, and tomatoes, being acidic, are especially likely to leach those chemicals from the lining into the food. And once BPA enters the body, it doesn't just pass through. It disrupts hormones, promotes inflammation, and may contribute to the hardening of arteries. Several studies have linked BPA exposure to an increased risk of heart disease. And again, seniors are among the most sensitive to these effects. Let's look at a simple example. Imagine a man in his early 70s, we'll call him Harold, who makes his famous spaghetti sauce every Sunday. He uses 3 cans of tomatoes each time, thinking he's feeding his family something healthy. But Harold also has a history of high blood pressure and takes medication for it. What he doesn't realize is that the sodium and BPA in those cans are working against him. Week after week, year after year, that quiet buildup is increasing the pressure inside his arteries, forcing his heart to work harder than it should. And the worst part? He feels fine until one day he doesn't. This doesn't mean tomatoes are the enemy. Fresh tomatoes cooked at home can still be part of a heart-healthy diet. But if you regularly rely on canned versions, especially the ones without no salt added or BPA-free labels, you may be doing more harm than good. The goal isn't to scare you away from flavor or tradition. It's to help you make a few smart swaps that preserve your health without sacrificing what you love. You might consider switching to fresh or frozen tomatoes, or looking for glass-jarred options with clean labels. You can also drain and rinse canned tomatoes to reduce some of the sodium content, though it doesn't eliminate it entirely. If you're cooking for yourself or a loved one with heart concerns, these small decisions matter. They add up. Because here's the truth. Your heart is incredibly resilient, but it's not invincible. And the foods we eat every day play a major role in how long and how well it keeps beating. Something as simple as a can of tomatoes might not seem like a threat, but over time it can quietly wear down your heart's defenses. The good news is you're in control. And now that you know what to watch out for, you can protect your heart with every bite. Number 2, Pickled vegetables are loaded with hidden heart stressors. Pickled vegetables may feel like a harmless side dish, maybe even a nostalgic treat that reminds you of summers long gone or your mother's pantry shelf. They're crisp, tangy, and often found on the table without much thought. But what many seniors don't realize is that behind that familiar flavor lies a powerful punch of sodium, preservatives, and chemical additives that can quietly sabotage your heart health over time. The process of pickling typically involves soaking vegetables in a brine made of salt, vinegar, and sometimes sugar or chemical preservatives. While this method was once used for survival and food storage, today, it's more about taste and tradition. Unfortunately, that heavy salt content doesn't just flavor the food, it floods your system with sodium. For older adults, this can quickly become a problem. Your arteries may not expand the way they used to, and your body's ability to balance fluids weakens with age. The result? Elevated blood pressure that puts added stress on your heart every single day. You may not even feel the effects immediately. That's part of what makes it dangerous. A small serving of pickled vegetables might seem innocent, but over time, repeated consumption can lead to stiffening of the arteries, increased workload on the heart, and damage to the delicate lining of your blood vessels. And if you already take medications for blood pressure, this kind of dietary sodium overload can make it harder for those drugs to work properly, setting you up for a dangerous cycle of imbalance. But there's more. Many commercially pickled vegetables contain preservatives like sodium, benzoate, or artificial colorings, which have been linked to inflammation and metabolic disruption. Inflammation, especially chronic low-grade inflammation, is a silent contributor to heart disease. When your body is constantly fighting off these invisible irritants, your cardiovascular system pays the price. It becomes less efficient, healing slows, and the tiny cracks and irritations inside your blood vessels can gradually turn into the foundation for dangerous plaque buildup. Let's take a look at a real-world example. Imagine a woman named Dorothy, 75 years old, who loves her pickled beets and cucumbers. She's been eating them for decades, adding them to sandwiches, serving them at lunch, even enjoying them as a snack in the afternoon. She feels like she's doing well. Her meals are balanced, her portions are modest. But despite her efforts, her doctor keeps increasing her blood pressure medication. Why? Because all that salt is slipping in where she isn't looking. Dorothy isn't eating fast food or pouring salt on everything. She's just enjoying something she thought was healthy, and it's costing her. This doesn't mean you have to give up pickled foods entirely, but it does mean being smart about how often and what kind you consume. Choose naturally fermented vegetables that don't rely on vinegar or added salt. Look for low-sodium labels or make your own at home, controlling how much salt goes into the brine. And if your heart health is already compromised, consider reducing pickled foods to an occasional treat rather than a daily habit. You might also pay attention to how your body responds. Do you feel bloated or sluggish after eating pickled items? Do you find yourself unusually thirsty or waking up at night more often? These are signs that your body is working overtime to manage an internal imbalance, and your heart is feeling that strain. The older we get, the more we realize that small things matter. What once didn't faze us in our 30s can catch up with us in our 60s and 70s. That's why awareness is power. The more you understand about how food impacts your cardiovascular system, the more control you have over your future health. And with something as preventable as sodium overload from pickled vegetables, a few mindful choices can go a long way. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 3, vegetable chips are a sneaky source of heart-damaging fats. At first glance, vegetable chips sound like a smart choice after all. They're vegetables, right? You see them on store shelves with labels that say, all natural, made with real veggies or gluten-free, and you might feel like you're doing something good for your body. But here's the truth. Most vegetable chips are nothing more than ultra-processed snacks that pack a powerful punch of heart-damaging fats, sodium, and additives. And for older adults who are already at higher risk for cardiovascular disease, this habit can quietly accelerate the damage. The problem with vegetable chips isn't just what they claim to be, it's what they actually are. In most cases, these chips are made by slicing root vegetables, like sweet potatoes, beets, or parsnips extremely thin, then deep frying them in oils that are unstable at high temperatures. We're talking about oils like soybean, canola, or sunflower oil, oils that, when heated, produce trans fats and oxidized lipids. These compounds are known to raise LDL cholesterol, the bad kind, lower HDL cholesterol, the good kind, and promote inflammation throughout the cardiovascular system. As we age, our arteries naturally become less flexible, our circulation slows, and the body becomes more sensitive to inflammatory triggers. That means a food that once had little effect in your 30s or 40s might now push your blood pressure up or contribute to plaque buildup in your arteries. What makes this even more dangerous is that it happens quietly. There's no immediate warning, no chest pain, no shortness of breath, just a slow tightening of the vessels that carry blood to your heart and brain. Let's say a man named Richard, age 68, replaces his regular potato chips with veggie chips, thinking it's a step in the right direction. He snacks on them while watching TV or grabs a handful in the afternoon when his energy dips. He notices the label says made with sea salt and feels reassured. But what Richard doesn't know is that those chips were fried at high temperatures, then coated with flavor enhancers and preservatives that extend their shelf life. What seems like a small indulgence is quietly feeding his body the very ingredients that promote high blood pressure, blood vessel damage, and long-term inflammation. And it's not just the fat content that's a concern. Many of these veggie chips are seasoned with high amounts of salt, sometimes more than traditional chips, and often contain hidden sugars or starches to enhance flavor and crunch. These additives can spike blood sugar, create insulin resistance, and put added pressure on the heart to keep up. For seniors who may already be managing diabetes, hypertension, or high cholesterol, this is a dangerous mix that only seems harmless because it wears a healthy disguise. So, what can you do instead? If you truly enjoy the taste and crunch of vegetable-based snacks, consider making your own at home using an oven or air fryer. You can slice zucchini, beets, or carrots thinly, drizzle them with heart-healthy olive oil, and bake them at a low temperature. That way you control the ingredients, avoid harmful fats, and still satisfy your craving. And if snacking is a habit, keep roasted nuts, sliced cucumber, or even lightly salted edamame nearby, foods that actually support your heart instead of silently working against it. The truth is, food marketing today is clever. Labels use words like veggie, natural, and guilt-free to appeal to our instincts. But as someone who cares about your health, it's important to look past the packaging and understand what's really inside. Vegetable chips may seem like the lesser evil, but for your heart, they could be contributing to a lifetime of wear you just don't need. When it comes to protecting your heart, the small things add up. Every snack, every meal, every bite is a chance to either nourish or deplete your system. And by simply saying no to vegetable chips or replacing them with something truly wholesome, you're giving your body a better shot at long-term strength, energy, and clarity. You don't have to give up the crunch. You just have to be smarter about where it comes from. Number 4, nightshade vegetables may quietly fuel inflammation. Some vegetables are praised for their bold flavors and versatility, but for many older adults, certain ones in this group can quietly wreak havoc on your joints, blood vessels, and overall cardiovascular health. I'm talking about nightshade vegetables. These include common foods like eggplant, bell peppers, tomatoes, and white potatoes. While they aren't dangerous for everyone, for seniors with existing inflammation, arthritis, or heart concerns, they may be causing more trouble than they're worth. What makes nightshades different is a group of natural compounds they contain called alkaloids, specifically solanine. In plants, solanine acts as a defense mechanism against insects and disease. But in humans, especially those with sensitivities, solanine can irritate the digestive system, promote inflammation, and increase joint stiffness. And here's what many people don't realize: chronic inflammation isn't just uncomfortable. It plays a central role in the development of heart disease, arterial damage, and even cognitive decline. The challenge with nightshades is that the reaction isn't always immediate. You might eat grilled eggplant or a stuffed bell pepper and feel fine that day. But for some, the impact builds over time. Sore joints that seem to linger, unexplained stiffness in the morning, or a creeping sense of fatigue that doesn't quite go away. These may not seem connected to what's on your plate, but the body keeps score, even when we're not looking. Let's say a woman named Eleanor, 73, enjoys roasted eggplant a few nights a week. It's been part of her family's recipes for decades, and she's proud to keep the tradition alive. But lately, she's noticed her knees feel swollen, and her morning walks have become shorter and more uncomfortable. Her doctor says her blood markers show signs of inflammation, but there's no clear cause. What Eleanor hasn't considered is that her favorite vegetable, one she thought was heart healthy, might actually be triggering an internal response that her aging body can no longer manage the way it once did. And that's the key. As we age, our immune system changes. What once was tolerable in our 30s or 40s may now lead to a low-grade inflammatory response in our 60s, 70s, or 80s. And because inflammation is one of the root causes of arterial stiffness and plaque buildup, anything that contributes to it, even a seemingly harmless food, can quietly increase your risk of heart problems down the road. This doesn't mean every person over 60 needs to completely eliminate nightshades. But it does mean that if you're dealing with joint pain, high blood pressure, or fatigue, it may be worth experimenting with a short-term break. Try removing nightshades from your meals for 2 to 3 weeks and see how your body responds. Many people are surprised by how much lighter, clearer, and more mobile they feel. And if you do reintroduce them, do so one at a time, in small amounts, and pay attention to how you feel afterward. You might also consider ways to reduce their impact. Cooking nightshades thoroughly rather than eating them raw can break down some of the problematic compounds. Peeling the skins and avoiding the seeds can also help. And if you're already working to protect your heart and reduce inflammation, these extra steps may be the difference between progress and plateau. Our relationship with food changes as we age. What once seemed simple becomes more personal, more sensitive, and more important. Nightshade vegetables aren't bad in themselves, but for many older adults, they may be part of the puzzle they've been trying to solve when it comes to pain, pressure, or heart strain. And when your goal is to feel better, not just full, being mindful of these silent triggers can give you the edge you've been missing. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 5, overcooked spinach can quietly calcify your arteries. Spinach has long been hailed as a superfood, rich in iron, folate, and antioxidants. It's the kind of leafy green that makes you feel like you're doing something right, something wholesome for your body. And in many ways, that's true. But here's the catch that most people never hear about. When spinach is overcooked, especially at high heat or reheated repeatedly, it can become a source of trouble for your heart, not help. What many folks don't realize is that spinach is naturally high in oxalates. These are organic compounds found in certain vegetables that bind with calcium in your body. When consumed in reasonable amounts and properly prepared, oxalates are harmless for most people. But when spinach is boiled down or sautéed aggressively, say during long cooking times or when reheated from leftovers, those oxalates become more concentrated and more bioavailable in ways your body may struggle to manage, especially as you age. The trouble starts when that excess oxalate binds with calcium in your bloodstream and forms tiny crystals. These crystals can accumulate in soft tissues, including the lining of your blood vessels. Over time, they contribute to something called arterial calcification. That's when the arteries lose their flexibility, becoming stiff and narrow, which forces your heart to work harder to push blood through them. It's like trying to pump water through an old garden hose full of mineral deposits. The pressure builds, the flow weakens, and the risk of damage goes up. This is especially important for seniors, because your ability to clear oxalates from the body declines with age. Your kidneys may not be as efficient as they once were, and your calcium balance becomes more delicate. That means even a well-intentioned dish of overcooked spinach, like a creamy spinach, casserole, or reheated spinach soup, can quietly set off a chain of internal reactions that strain your heart over time. Let's look at a real-life example. Picture a man named Walter, 76, who eats well, walks every morning, and does his best to manage his blood pressure. He grew up eating spinach and has always believed it was good for him, especially in warm, comforting dishes. But lately, Walter's doctor has noticed signs of arterial stiffness, even though his cholesterol and weight are under control. What neither of them realizes is that Walter's habit of reheating spinach-heavy leftovers during the week may be contributing to excess oxalate buildup, something no blood test will directly show, but his heart is certainly feeling. It's not that spinach is bad, it's how we prepare it that matters. Lightly steamed or eaten raw in moderation, spinach can still be part of a heart-healthy diet. But when it's cooked for too long, reheated over and over, or consumed in large quantities every single day, it can quietly shift from a nutrient-dense ally to a source of vascular stress. And because the effects aren't immediate, because they build slowly, invisibly, it's easy to miss the connection until real damage is done. To protect your heart, aim for balance. Vary your greens, try rotating in arugula, kale, or romaine, which have lower oxalate levels. If you do cook spinach, do it lightly, just enough to soften it without boiling it down to mush. And if you make a large batch, try to eat it all at once or enjoy it cold rather than reheating it. Your body will thank you, not just in how you feel today, but in the resilience you preserve for tomorrow. At this stage of life, we're not just eating for flavor or fullness. We're eating for energy, circulation, and clarity. And that means understanding how even healthy foods like spinach can become problematic when handled the wrong way. Your heart is a strong and faithful worker. Don't let silent habits chip away at it. With just a little awareness, you can keep your meals nourishing, your arteries flexible, and your future brighter than ever. Number 6, frozen stir-fry veggie mixes with sauce hide silent threats. When you walk through the frozen foods aisle and see those colorful stir-fry vegetable mixes, it's easy to feel like you've made a healthy choice. The packaging says low-calorie, farm-fresh, and loaded with fiber. For many seniors looking for convenience, these bags of pre-cut vegetables feel like a perfect solution. Just heat and serve. No chopping, no mess. But here's what most people don't realize. Many of these convenient mixes come with hidden ingredients that can quietly undermine your heart health. The vegetables themselves, broccoli, carrots, snap peas, are not the problem. It's the sauces that come with them. Those little flavor pouches, often filled with teriyaki, garlic soy, or sesame glaze, are typically packed with sodium, added sugars, cornstarch, and in some cases, even hydrogenated oils. These aren't just minor additions. They can transform what would have been a heart-supporting meal into one that increases blood pressure, raises blood sugar, and stirs up inflammation, all things your heart does not need. The first concern is sodium. Many of these sauces contain more than half of your daily sodium allowance in a single serving. And that's assuming you use only part of the packet, which most people don't. The problem with sodium, especially for older adults, is that it doesn't just affect your blood pressure. It also contributes to water retention, added pressure on your kidneys, and an overall sense of fatigue that can sneak up on you. You might feel puffier after eating, or notice swelling in your ankles, or experience an irregular heartbeat. These are not coincidences, they're your body signaling that it's overwhelmed. Then there's the issue of added sugars. You wouldn't expect a stir-fry sauce to contain sugar, but many do, sometimes more than a candy bar. And the sugar isn't just for taste. It's used to create that shiny glaze that coats the vegetables and makes them visually appealing. But what your eyes enjoy, your heart often doesn't. Excess sugar contributes to insulin resistance, damages the lining of blood vessels, and raises triglyceride levels, another risk factor for heart disease. For seniors who are already managing diabetes or metabolic syndrome, this is like pouring gasoline on a low-burning fire. Let's take an example. Picture a man named Frank, age 72. He's recently started paying more attention to his diet and wants to make better choices. So he swaps out his takeout meals for frozen stir-fry mixes, thinking he's doing the right thing. Every evening, he tosses one into a pan, pours in the included sauce, and serves it over rice. It tastes good, it's quick, and he feels proud of himself. But over the next few months, he notices his blood pressure creeping up again, even though he's taking his medication. What he doesn't realize is that those sauces are quietly flooding his system with sodium and sugar, turning his well-meaning effort into an invisible setback. And there's one more hidden problem: trans fats. While they've been banned in many places, some pre-packaged frozen meals still include trace amounts through partially hydrogenated oils. These oils are often tucked into sauces or used to keep the vegetables from clumping during freezing. Even small amounts of trans fats are known to raise bad cholesterol and lower good cholesterol, creating a dangerous imbalance for your cardiovascular system. So what's the alternative? If you enjoy stir-fry, and many people do, you can absolutely keep it in your routine. But make it yourself when possible. Buy frozen vegetables without any added sauces. Heat them with a little olive oil, garlic, and herbs. If you do want sauce, make a quick one from scratch using low-sodium soy sauce, fresh ginger, and a touch of honey or lemon juice. That way, you're in control of the ingredients and the outcome. The key is remembering that not all health foods are created equal. Just because something is frozen and labeled vegetable doesn't mean it's working in your favor. The additives that make it convenient or tasty may also be silently putting stress on your heart. And when you've worked hard your whole life to protect your health, you deserve to know what's going into your body. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 7, raw kale in excess can disrupt heart-supporting hormones. Kale has earned its place as a modern-day superfood. It's rich in vitamins A, C, and K, packed with fiber, and loaded with antioxidants. For many health-conscious seniors, tossing a handful of raw kale into a smoothie or salad feels like a wise, proactive move. But what's rarely discussed, and what more people need to understand, is that consuming too much raw kale, especially on a regular basis, can have unintended consequences. And for older adults, those consequences may quietly affect your thyroid and, in turn, your heart. Kale belongs to a family of vegetables called cruciferous vegetables, along with broccoli, cauliflower, and cabbage. These veggies contain natural compounds called goitrogens. Goitrogens interfere with your body's ability to absorb iodine, a mineral your thyroid needs to produce hormones that regulate everything from your metabolism to your heartbeat. When your thyroid function becomes sluggish, something many seniors already struggle with, your heart often bears the brunt of it. Low thyroid function, also known as hypothyroidism, is linked to slower heart rate, higher blood pressure, increased cholesterol levels, and a general sense of fatigue or fogginess. And what's tricky is that many people don't trace these symptoms back to food. After all, kale is supposed to be healthy, right? But when it's consumed raw and in large amounts, day after day, it can suppress thyroid activity just enough to throw your entire cardiovascular system out of balance. Let's imagine a woman named Beverly, 70 years old, who began blending raw kale into her morning smoothies after reading about its benefits online. She adds it every day, thinking she's helping her body fight aging and stay strong. But over the next few months, she starts noticing that she feels colder than usual. Her energy is dipping and her cholesterol numbers are creeping upward, even though her diet is clean. Her doctor tests her thyroid and finds it slightly underactive. No one makes the connection. But quietly, that daily dose of raw kale may be playing a key role. And here's where it becomes especially relevant for heart health. A struggling thyroid doesn't just affect energy levels. It slows down how fast your heart beats, changes how your arteries respond to stress, and interferes with how your body handles cholesterol. In short, it creates a storm of subtle, compounding stressors that may increase your risk of heart disease without ever feeling like something is seriously wrong. This doesn't mean kale is bad. Not at all. In fact, lightly cooked kale can be a great addition to your diet. Cooking helps deactivate the goitrogens, making it safer for your thyroid while still preserving most of the nutrients. Steaming kale for a few minutes or sautéing it gently with olive oil can reduce its goitrogenic effects significantly. The key is balance and preparation. If kale is already part of your routine, consider how often and how much you're eating it raw. If it's daily and you're also noticing changes in energy, mood, blood pressure, or cholesterol, it may be worth taking a short break or switching to cooked greens instead. And if you have a diagnosed thyroid condition, be extra cautious. Your sensitivity to raw, cruciferous vegetables may be higher than average. The message here isn't to fear vegetables, it's to know them. Because the truth is, even the healthiest foods carry certain rules. And when you understand how your body responds, you can adapt your habits to support it better. Your heart is deeply connected to your thyroid, and your thyroid is directly influenced by what you eat. That's not a coincidence, it's biology. At this stage of life, knowledge is one of your greatest health tools. And when you use it, you give yourself the power to make choices that not only protect your heart, but support your overall sense of well-being. Kale can still be your ally, but only when you treat it with the care and respect your body deserves. Final thoughts. As we wrap up this video, I want you to take a quiet moment and think about the 7 vegetables we've just explored. Which one surprised you the most? Which one do you eat regularly without giving it a second thought? And more importantly, how might this information reshape the way you approach your meals moving forward? You see, this wasn't about scaring you away from vegetables. It was about clarifying the difference between what's truly healthy and what just seems healthy on the surface. Because when it comes to protecting your heart, your most loyal, hardworking organ, it's not just about eating good foods. It's about knowing how your body responds to those foods, especially as you age. And that understanding, that's where your power lives. So as you finish watching this, I encourage you to think about just one change you can make today. Maybe it's checking sodium levels on your frozen veggies. Maybe it's swapping that jar of pickles for something fresh. Or maybe it's just asking a few more questions before assuming a food is healthy. Because when you take small steps like these, you're not just protecting your heart, you're honoring your whole self. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.